this article that we're going to talk about now is from the Washington Post. It was written on the 31st of May, and it tells us a story about hope and resistance against bigotry. So high school students plan to perform a play containing LGBTQ characters, but the school canceled it after some parents' complaints. And so the kids didn't give up. They kept trying and trying and trying. And finally, they ended up performing outside the school in front of 1,500 people. Um, and so they had to fight against the school board. And in there, the article talks about that woman who, before most kids could speak, uh, this woman, Kay Neiman, she said she was a taxpayer, a mother, and a pastor's wife. And this play, Marianne, with its LGBTQ characters, whatever, how many ABCs you want to put on it, was immoral. She said, what we believe is in the Bible and what it says, and the Bible says that homosexuality is a sin. And so it's forgivable, don't get me wrong, it's forgivable and we love them, but nevertheless, I applaud whoever made the decision to not have this play go on. And so this, in a nutshell, is Christianity: pure hypocrisy, bigotry, cowardice, and hate. Uh, Kelley?
Yeah, are you telling me that a bunch of high school kids got together, high school kids, right, got together and beat the bigots? That's freaking awesome. And I think it's a really good example. If a bunch of high school kids can come together and pull off something like this, can you just imagine what you can do in your community? Take a second out, imagine it. Now, anything you just imagined, you can do just like these high school students did. It's freaking amazing. It doesn't take much. You don't have to be a professional activist. You just have to have a cause. That's it. That's it. You got to believe it and got to get up and motivate and do it. Aaron?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. We have to stand up and work together to fight back on people that want to force their morality on other people. Um, and we have to do the work. It's not going to happen. We can't be apathetic. We have to be willing to do the work. But it's not much. I believe that the student, there was one student who kind of took the initiative to get this play put on, and he contacted the author of the play. And soon enough after that, they had a GoFundMe going, and they found a theater, and they had raised like $80,000 to rent out this theater and hire private security. And that was just one person reaching out to another person, and it just kind of got a wave going. You never know what you can start by just picking up the phone and calling someone, or sending somebody an email, or having a conversation with somebody about what you believe in and what you want the world to be like. And I find it really interesting. Dr. Rich, what do you have to say?
I say it again, the world is run by the people that show up. It's also run by the people that show up and fight, and the people that just won't take the crap. We're just like, no, we're not going to have this. I can't stand it anymore. And I think the kids are just amaze me, the things they've been doing over the last decade, where after school shootings they go out and march and they have speakers and things like this. And there was the university in Florida recently where they put their own commencements together, which was bigger than the bigot inside, who everyone inside turned their backs to, and all this stuff is just, I think, wonderful stuff, and it needs to be embraced. We need more of this. We need to show up to these things and do these things. Now, in the UK, our current government is trying very hard to stifle our ability to do that. Their latest great idea is that if you make too much noise during a protest, you can be arrested. And they don't define what too much noise is. So it's up to the police. And as we know, the police are very good at being fair in these situations. That's sarcasm. We do it very well where I'm from. And it's just, I just want to see them, because I just know that even in the UK, we're still going to have people marching. and making noise and just saying, arrest me. Fine. But it won't be people like me. It'll be people who are younger. I just think it's great that they are, and they're voting as well. This is the main thing. And if you're not voting and you want to be part of this, get to the voting booths. It's what we're all about. And because so many things are being imposed upon people that are religious things, they are religious ideas, they come from religion. They will pretend that they're not, but at the end of the day, when you get the Russian doll and you keep peeling back and back, the last one will be called the Bible, or the Quran, or something. We've got to stop this, because it's another form of religion interfering with government, with life, with liberty, with freedom. So yeah, I am so massively impressed with what a generation who are tougher and meaner and cooler than mine, I'll admit it, are doing. It's amazing. It's just, yeah, Kelley, I can see you chomping at the bit there.
I am chomping at the bit. I was going to let Aaron go, but I'll take it. I would definitely take it. One of the things that this, the woman who showed up at the school board meeting, Kay Nyman, one of the things she says is, it's forgivable. Don't get me wrong. The sin of being a homosexuality is a forgivable sin. Don't get me wrong. It's forgivable, and we love them. But nevertheless, I applaud whoever made the decision and not have this play go on. And it's just that, it's that love the sinner, hate the sin. I mean, that's what she said in so many words. And it's just such a bullshit thing to say. And I think we all know it. I hate it every time I hear it, because if we had just reversed it around, and I try to when I hear it, and I always say, hey, you know what? I love Christians. It's just the Christian church I don't like. If Christians would just stop worshiping on Sunday and praying and baptizing people, I wouldn't have a problem with them. That's so it's not really the Christians that I hate. It's the Christianity. And you see, it sounds stupid, because it is stupid. It is really, really stupid. And I wish they'd stop using it as an excuse, because it's not going anywhere. It doesn't ring well with people on the other side. It only rings well with them. Aaron?
Yeah, Jesus associated with sinners. He didn't go out, and I don't know if he shut down any plays. There's no record of it, but I don't think he shut down any plays. But he was out there talking to people that didn't live the way he wanted them to, that he had to go out and preach the message. So maybe rather than shutting things down, maybe go and into someone's world. Jesus went into people's homes and visited with them. Maybe you should go into these people's homes and see what they have to say. Maybe you can go listen to the play and see another point of view. And maybe if you show some support and some love, maybe people might be more willing to listen to your message rather than shutting things down. I don't think very many people are going to listen to you when you're going to be that rude or mean to them. But if you show some compassion and some support, people might be more willing to maybe listen to your point of view. Cindy?
Yeah, you can't show compassion and empathy if everything you're taught is hate and bigotry. We talked about it several times earlier on different shows. It's you can't have on one hand a philosophy and the worldview that teaches that you are better than everyone, and then listen to them. That's not how it works. If you are better than them, then you don't have to listen to them. You don't have to allow them even to do what they want. You are better than them, so you get to decide. And that's where this idea that the US is a Christian country, that's the goal behind it. It's to be able to say to people, because we are better, so we get to tell you how you have to live your life. That's it. Dr. Rich?
Yes, it's that paradox, isn't it, about how you should allow people to live their life how they want until they become the people that are telling you that you shouldn't live your life how you want. And then at that point, you should start telling them how to live their lives and stop bothering you. Karl Popper had something to say about it, I think. And it's just, I agree completely with that. I think there's another saying that's similar to hate the sin, love the sinner, and it's love the conned, hate the con people, hate the conners, and it's a similar thing, but it doesn't quite work. Again, you hit a brick wall where you find somebody who's been conned and say, come on now. Why are you still being conned? Why are you still falling for this? It's obvious now that you are in the middle of some kind of con. And it's similarly when they say this sort of thing, you know, we hate the sin, we love this, we hate the sin, but we love the sin. And no, you don't. No, you don't at all. Because if you did, you'd let them live their lives how they want to, and you wouldn't find some reason to hate somebody. At the end of the day, what it is classic fear reaction. It is the fear to something they don't understand, something that is alien to them, something that is odd to them, something that is different to them. And, you know, we know what Yoda says about that. You don't want to go to the dark side. You should remain in the light and end up on an island or something. But it's classic fear. It's classic rejection of the other. The other are different. Therefore, we fear the other. Therefore, we're going to push them away and legislate against them because everybody should be like us. And if people aren't like us, we don't get that. We don't understand it. We can't tap into that. We can't get into their mindset. So let's stop them from being different so we can be comfortable. And it's a hatred. It's a place of hate and fear, and sometimes disgust when that other becomes dehumanized, and that's when the really bad things start to happen. And that's really when the whole we hate the sin but love the sinner thing becomes a load of old hooey, because they start hating the sinner big time then. And it's a small step. It's a very small step from we don't want your play to go ahead to we don't want you to exist. And there are certain parts of that community that there are certain people do not accept that they exist already. So that step is already being taken, which is frightening. But on the other side, the kids are fighting back. We should fight back with them. We should say, yeah, these people do exist. They're real. They're different. Embrace the difference. I'm different. You're different. They're different. Everybody's different. Let's embrace the differences, not be terrified by them. I finished preaching now. So, Aaron, preach your way.
When you go to the beach, you know, you see lots of kids maybe playing in the sand and building sand castles. Nobody goes up to a kid and smashes their sandcastle and tells them to stop building sandcastles, then kicks them off the beach. You mind your own business. You let people, you know, build their sandcastles. And I really wish there was more of that in the world. I understand that you personally don't agree, that you personally think homosexuality is bad. It's not. I understand that you do that, but why don't you just mind your own business? If you don't like something, then just don't support it. But you don't need to come around and smash up somebody's sandcastle just because it wasn't the way you wanted it or the way you thought a sandcastle should be built. It's kind of do unto others as you would have others do unto you. You wouldn't want people shutting down your play, right? If I don't want to come see your play that proselytes about Jesus, I just won't come see it. I'm not going to try and shut it down. So I expect the same respect. Don't shut down my play just because it's got content that you are scared of. You know, just mind your own business and don't support what you don't want to exist in the world. But don't ruin people's sandcastles.
Right.
Kelley?
It's another case of be in the world but not of the world, right? It just is of them going against that idea. One of the things I was wondering about is who the hell is on the school board here when 20 students can show up and talk about how the play should go on, and one parent speaks out against 20 students and they listen to the one parent. I want to know who's on the school board, because I think maybe we need to change the people who live in that neighborhood. They need to change those people sitting on that board. That's ridiculous when you could have that many people on one side and only one on the other side, and the one gets their way. But on the other side of the coin, and it's something I don't agree with in the United States, high school kids don't have any legal rights. I don't know if anybody remembers back a few years ago when the kid had a banner saying "Bongs for Jesus" and was kicked out of his school for it, even though he wasn't at a school event or on school grounds. And the Supreme Court said that he had no right to the freedom of speech. So high school students don't have the same legal rights as we do in the United States. It kind of sucks, but it's the way it is, and I really don't agree with it. And one thing I really want to stop seeing, and it didn't happen here, but I see it all the time at these school board meetings where they're fighting against woke. Most of them can't define woke. I think we all know that. And what they're doing here is they're doing like word laundering. Like, I can't say that I'm against gay people because then I'm a bigot. I can't say that I'm against trans people because then I'm a bigot, right? So I'll just say that I can't say I'm against black people because then I'm a bigot. So I'll say that I'm against woke. I'm against CRT, right? So that way I'm not using these bigot trigger words. And it doesn't work. Again, this stuff doesn't work. We know what you're doing. We know what you mean. Stop pretending like you're saying something that you're not saying. Even my duck understands it. You guys are not fooling anyone. And you need to realize it and actually be understandable about understanding of how your message isn't hitting home. It just isn't. So, Aaron, I know you had a lot to say here. So you got anything more you'd like to add?
Well, I think one of the reasons you can have 20 kids show up at a school board meeting and nothing happen is because they're not voters. School board members, they don't have to care, right? So maybe high school kids that are affected by a school board, maybe they should have a voice in who's on their school board. Maybe that would get some of the school board members to listen to some of their voters. And as far as woke goes, to me, woke just means listening and believing people when they tell you their stories, right? Not just dismissing what their experience is or dismissing who they are, what they say they are. Just listen and believe people when they share their experience. Cindy.
Yeah, this is part of a very, very aggressive climate towards LGBTQ people in the US. As of late April, there was at least 408 bills introduced in 45 states, specifically targeting LGBTQ people in the US. 500 laws in 45 states. In this year, again, as of late April, 29 bills have been voted in place in 14 states. That just from 1st of January to I think it's 28th of April. And so there's most likely more than that right now. So it's like the Republican Party has given up on proposing a platform. They go all out on especially trans people lately, and that's all. That's everything they do. They don't offer anything else. It's amazing how such a big portion of the population doesn't realize what's happening right now. It's like, are they talking about building roads or bridges or buildings or anything? No, they just complain and demean people. That's all they do. That's quite scary. Dr. Rich?
Yeah, it's not just an American thing either. We know that there are people here that want to make the next lecture we have a debate about wokeness, whatever that defines as. I think it used to be called political correctness, but there's too many syllables, so it got confusing. Basically, and it's a weird thing that in the UK, it's not a left-right issue. There's an attack from the left on the trans communities. It's every bit as dangerous as the one from the right. And it's kind of, I don't understand why people I don't understand why people have to get into each other's business in this way. And I don't understand that sometimes people don't have any policies. So all they can do is point at something and say it's them. It's them that's the problem. And this is another example of it. And there's another thing as well that I was going to bring up that is happening here. There's a very serious discussion about us dropping our age of voting to 16. The argument being at 16-year-old, people can get married, have sex, and die for their country. So maybe we ought to give them the vote as well. Oh, and go to adult prison. So maybe we ought to give them the vote as well. And that, I think, will actually transform the political landscape in a way that nothing else ever has. It's the equivalent here of them giving DC statehood in the US. Everything would change politically overnight. It'd be like, what's that other party called again? Do you remember them? They had a president once. That's kind of it sort of would happen here. That and I think there's a good call for it because they're more sensible than we are, 16-year-olds, frankly. They're more attuned to these things. And this whole woke thing, one of our Home Secretaries described as the wokerati, which I'm proud to be. I was going to get a T-shirt saying that I'm a member of the wokerati, and I think I will still get that T-shirt. And it's just a cheap. We're coming back to what we discussed in other segments. People may have already seen this about how it's a cheap. Let's find another to point at because that gets people to behave in a certain way, you know. And it's a big problem in politics all over the world right now. It's not just a US thing. It's not just a UK thing. It seems to be the authoritarian part of the world are just doing the let's point at them because we don't want to talk about infrastructure. That's the point out. We don't want to talk about infrastructure. We don't want to talk about roads. We don't want to talk about electricity. We don't want to talk about
homelessness.
Making things green and having a green power infrastructure, which we absolutely must do.
Wage gap.
Yeah, we don't want to do any of that. What we want to do is point at them and go, they're the reason your things are bad. So, and we'll do something about them. And it's a growing issue, and we know what it leads to. Of course, we've been there not all that long ago. Within the last 100 years, it happened, and it was bad. So that there is this much pushback is great, and long may it continue. Yeah.
What a great conversation we've had here today. This was a fascinating segment. I really love doing it with you guys, and I hope you enjoyed it too. Thank you all for watching and listening. And if you want to hear more from the nonprofits, click here.